In this video, I'm going to show you how to generate a QR code so that people can scan it with their mobile phones, and then that will bring them to a Google form and you can have them enter in any information that you require. And that way you've captured that information and then brought it into a spreadsheet, all electronically without you having to do anything at all. So let's have a look at how we're going to set this up. So the first thing we need to do is open up a browser window and go to your Gmail account. So if you need to log in, you'll need to go to gmail.com and log in. I'm already logged in, so I can now see over here in the top right corner, you can see that I'm logged in and I have this little checkered box. So if I click on the checkered box, this will allow me then to find my Google Drive application, which is what I want. And depending on how you've got your Gmail set up, the Drive icon might be somewhere else, but mine's just there at the top row, so I can click on that and bring that up. Now that I've got my Google Drive open, the first thing I want to do is I want to create a new folder. This way I can keep all my forms and all my information together. So I'm going to click on New, and I'm going to choose Folder, and I will call this, I'm just going to call this Forms. You can call it anything you like. It doesn't really make any difference. It is only a folder after all, but that will do me. So hit Create, and there we go. And there's my new folder. And if I double click on that, it opens up. And this is where I'm going to create my form that I'm going to use for my QR code. So I'm going to click on the New button again, and then I want to go down to More, and you'll see there's this option called Google Forms. So I'll click on the forms. I won't worry about any of these. These are various templates. I don't need those because I'm going to build my own form. So I'm just going to click on Google Forms, and it will load in a form for me. Do I want to take a tour? No, I know how to do this, so I don't need that tour. So the first thing I want to do is give the form a name. So maybe I'll call this registration. Again, you can call it anything you like. It doesn't really matter. I've called it registration. Now, you'll notice up in the top left corner, it says Untitled Form. If I just click there now, it automatically recognizes that that's going to be the name of the form, so I can leave it like that. Now I've got a question down here already given to me, and it says Untitled Question. I don't actually want that question. I want something different. So I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to change that. I'm going to call this maybe First Name, and then it will automatically recognize that it wants me to capture a name. So it's already chosen short answer for me. If I wanted something different from that, I could always click on here, and you can see there's a whole bunch of other options I have open to me to create different questions. So short answer is the one I want, and I want to make sure it's required. So I don't want anybody filling this form in with skipping anything. So I'm going to turn that on. That's now required. Now I can add more questions by clicking on the plus button here. But in this case, I actually want the same question again, but slightly different. So I can duplicate it. So I'm going to choose this option here, duplicate. There it is there. And now I'm going to call this Last Name. There we go. And again, if I want, maybe I'm just trying to capture people's information. Again, I will just duplicate that again. And this time I might call it Email Address. Whoops. Email address. And if I wanted to capture maybe people's phone number, again, I could do the same sort of thing, duplicate, and then just call this phone number. Now I can basically create any question I like here. It doesn't really make any difference what I'm putting in here. It depends on what you are particularly after. Now there are some other options I can add to this. I can click on this little icon here, and I can add images to the questions as well if I really want to. But in this case, I don't need it. I'm just looking for some information that's going to go into a spreadsheet. So now I've created the form. That's it. I can now make it look good. So if I go up into the top right corner, you'll see there's an option here, Customize Theme. If I click on that, I can choose the color that I want, and it will change depending on the color and the scheme that I want to choose. Now, I can also add my own image. And when I add my own image, because at the moment there is no images, if I add my own image, it will automatically try to adjust and provide me with a scheme that it thinks will fit. So I actually have an image. I'm going to click on Choose Image here, and I'm going to choose Upload, and I will drag my image from my desktop. There it is there. And at this point, it's going to say, well, how wide do you want it? Now, obviously, my image is way too big, so I might have to just put it slightly. I might just make this like that, maybe. That will do me. You'll have to play around with it and get the right size if you're going to do it, but this will do. So done. There we go. There we go. And as you can see, what it's done now, it's tried to match the theme with my image. That's not a great image. If I was going to do this professionally, I would actually make up a nicer image that suits this form so I could use it. But you get the idea. So that's done. Now I want to make sure my settings are correct so I can get the URL and create my QR code. So I'm going to click on the settings, and in here I've got options. Do I want to collect email addresses? No, I keep that unchecked because I'm already asking that question anyway. And if I put that in, if I tick that, then it's going to require people to log in with a Google account. If they don't have a Google account, then obviously that's not going to be any good to you. So leave that off. Now, if you have a domain with Google, which I do, you're going to have this option. Now, if you have a domain, if you're just using Gmail, then this won't be there for you. But I'm going to actually turn that off because obviously I want anybody to be able to fill this form in. So there we go. Limit to one response. No, I don't want that. Edit after submit. No, again, I don't want anyone come back and changing things. I just want to leave it the way it is. So now I can choose save. And my form is now good to go. So now I want to create my QR code. So I'm going to click on send, and I want to choose the link option here in this window. And you can see there it is there. Now that's a pretty long URL and it's not going to work very nicely with my QR code. So I'm going to choose shorten URL. And now it's going to give me something smaller. So I'm going to copy that. So I've now copied that link. I can click on copy to do that. And I'm now just going to close that. And I'm going to open up a new browser window or browser tab. And I'm going to go to QR Monkey. So I'll put QR code Monkey. Now there are hundreds of QR code generator websites out there. I particularly choose QR Code Monkey because this one just works really nicely for me. So that's one I'm going to choose, QR Code Monkey. Open that up and here we go. To create my QR code, all I need to do now is I need to choose what I want the QR code to do. So you can see I've got options at the top: text, email, phone, Facebook, Twitter, etc. Well, this one's a URL. So I'm going to click on here and I'm going to change that URL. I'm just going to paste in the URL I copied from my form. There it is there. And now I can actually click on that. I can change the colors if I want different colors. You know, maybe I want a red, maybe I want a blue. You know, it's up to you. It depends on how you're going to use this and how you're going to print this. So I'm just going to go back to plain or black. That'll be fine for me for this one. And then I also choose the background color. Now, 99% of the time, it's going to be white, so we can leave that. If you've got a logo that you want to use, you can also add a logo in. You can upload a logo just like we did with the form, or you can choose one that's already been set here for you. So if it's Facebook or whatever, you don't have to do that. That's just an optional extra. And again, customized design. You can add extra things here if you really want it to look a little bit different. Again, that's personally up to you. You don't need to do that if you don't want to. So now that I've got my content in there for my form, there it is there. I've chosen my color. It's going to be black. Now I can go over to this side here on the right and I can choose the quality of the image that I want. Now, by default, it's down as 1000 by 1000 pixels. My suggestion is drag it up, go to the highest quality possible. That's going to give you a better print job if you're printing this out later on. And now I can choose generate QR code and it will create the code for me. There it is, that's my code. There we go. And I can download it as a PNG, which is just an image file, which is the one you really kind of want. But if I'm going to use this maybe for a business and I want to use it on all my signage and all sorts of other things, then I'm actually going to want to download it as an EPS file. An EPS file is something that you can use with Adobe Illustrator or any other graphics drawing, vector drawing application. So that way you can enlarge it, the size of a building if you really need to, or whatever the case may be, if it's going to go up on posters and stuff around the place. So just keep that in mind, that if you're going to do some serious printing, EPS is what you want. But for most people, it's just going to be downloaded as a PNG, and it will download. There it goes, it's downloaded. And now, if I just have a look, see where that went to. There we go, I'm just going to drag that over to my desktop. There we go. Now, I am using a Mac while I'm doing this. This works perfectly well on Windows. You can do the same thing on Windows. So now I've got my QR code. I'm actually going to go back to my Google Drive. This is where I've got my Forms folder, and I'm going to drag that back in. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to rename that so I know what that form is. Okay, so this was registration. There we go. And now I'm going to drag that back into my Google Drive folder. And that way I've got a copy of it in my Google Drive so I can access that anywhere I need to use it. So now I've got my QR code. I can go back to my form here, and my form is live because I've already gone through there and I've gone, yep, this is all good. There it is. It's all live because it all works live. And if I click on responses, this is a part that most people don't realize. I will see all the responses come up here on this page, but most people would need it in a Excel format. So if I choose this, create spreadsheet, it's now going to say, okay, what do you want to do with it? Do you want to have a new spreadsheet, or do you want to put it to an existing spreadsheet? So I want a new spreadsheet, so I'm going to go create, and it's going to create this spreadsheet. There it is. And it's created the spreadsheet in my Google Drive folder. There we go. Now, I can access this through the web at any time because it is a Google Sheet. But if I wanted to download it and put it into an Excel file, for example, for whatever reason, I can simply just right-click there and I can choose download. It's going to download it. There it is. And it's actually downloaded as a Excel file, and it will now open up in Excel if you really want to do that. But let's see how this actually works. So I'm going to open up my QR code. Now with my QR code open, I can grab my mobile phone, and most mobile phones have the ability to do this direct from the camera. Some don't. If your phone doesn't do this direct from the camera app, then you will need to download a separate QR code reader. If you're using Android, then something like QR Droid is probably the best one that you could download. There is plenty of others, but QR Droid I used to use, it worked quite well. If you're using an iPhone, I believe iPhones now have all that inbuilt into the camera, but if not, again, there are plenty of apps on the App Store that you can download that can read it. So I'm just going to open up my camera and I'm going to scan the code. And with my phone, what I have to do is I actually have to tap on the code so that it tap and hold, and it comes up on my screen. It says, oh, this is a QR code. What do you want to do with it? So I will then just tap and take it directly to that site. There we go. And it's now come up on my mobile phone. So now I can just fill this in. And when I fill it in, it will automatically populate that spreadsheet. And there you go. You can see that's come through. I have not used my email address, and I have not used my actual phone number. So we are relying here on the Honesty system for people to actually put the correct data in, but that's with any form really. So it's now there, and I have all of that information. And not only do I have that information, but it is also time-stamped. So I can do a search at some other time. Maybe I've got 1,000 entries in here, and I can just do a search for the particular time or date, and it will make it easy for me to bring up all of that information. And that is it. And that is how easy it is to create a QR code which can link to a Google form, and you can get all the information that you require depending on what it is that you need it to do. I hope you found this video helpful, and I hope you've learned something from this video.